In this demonstration, we will see how we can stratify patients who has physical characteristics such as disc degeneration and facet tropism, and also lifestyle factors such as smoking, physical activity, and self-reported bothersomeness and LBP frequency, which is a low back pain frequency, and who have answered Oribro questionnaire. Here in this spreadsheet, we have a lot of participants whose physical degeneration, facet tropism, and lifestyle factors and questionnaire data is captured. The first thing to do is to run the utility to cluster the participants. In order to run the utility, we use a command line tool that I built with Python cluster.py, which is the main clustering file. We pass two parameters, train and the CSV file, which has training data. So when I run the utility, it is going to see the clustering patterns in the provided input data. The clustering algorithm categorizes these participants into two clusters. And it also generates clustering visualization, which you can see here. The clustering visualization, we can have two nicely separated clusters in blue and orange. You can also visualize the mean of all the clustering feature variables. So here you have cluster 0 and cluster 1. And cluster 0 is dominant in physical characteristics such as disc degeneration at 4-5 and 5S1, and lower on the psychosocial characteristic, whereas cluster 1 is lower on the physical characteristics and higher on psychosocial characteristics. So we can also evaluate the low back pain frequency on bothersomeness between the clusters. As you can see here, in cluster 1, which is predominantly psychosocial cluster, you have higher level of bothersomeness. Now, with this clustering algorithm or the model, given a new patient, we can stratify into one of these groups, which is predominantly physical disc degeneration group or predominantly psychosocial risk group, so that we can align the treatment accordingly. For this example, I have 3 participants who underwent the MRI, where we can capture the physical degeneration of discs and compute the facet tropism, and who has answered Oribro questionnaire and self-reported information on smoking, physical activity, and etc. So now we will run the same command line utility, but instead of train, we will run for eval, which is evaluation mode. Here, the clustering algorithm attempts to categorize the input participants of the test set into the predicted risk groups of physical degeneration or psychosocial risk group. Here we have the predictions of each participant. If you scroll to the right, so we can see that the probability of the assignment of individual clusters and also the predicted risk type. Since the probability is super low here, it assigned a class of physical degeneration, and it's 87% sure, the model is 87% sure that it categorized psychosocial risk, and it's 100% sure that it's a psychosocial risk for this participants. So we can make the formatting a little more detailed, and we can see that it's class 0 and this is class 1. So what we do in the classification algorithm is that anything greater than 50% we categorize as psychosocial risk because it belongs to class 1, and anything less than 50% we assign that to class 0. So here it is sure that it is physical degeneration, and upon observation we can see that the disc degeneration at 4-5 and 5S1 is 5, whereas there is some extent of degeneration in L5S1 for this participants. However, maybe that psychosocial characteristics dominate the physical degeneration and grouped into psychosocial risk. So this tool is important in a way that even if you have disc degeneration, if you take a holistic approach of disc degeneration and questionnaire data from Orebro, you can stratify patients into 2 risk groups and make the treatment plan accordingly. Thank you.